The mystery continues here in Berea. We still don't know exactly who's going to start at left tackle, although we can officially say it will not be Jedrick Wills Jr. The Browns ruled him out today, but it could be James Hudson still. It could be Jack Conklin. Kevin Stefanski at least narrowed it down to those two, Mary Kay. So, at this point, how are you feeling about it?
Well, I have a feeling that perhaps they will use both Jack and James. Jack is coming off of a very, very serious knee surgery, and he might not be ready for a full game. I even asked Jack about that today, and he said, we'll see, just like everybody else says about this situation, but I could see something like that happening. Maybe they start with one of them and go to the other for a little while. Maybe they alternate series. Maybe they stick with the hot hand if one of those guys goes in there and they're handling things well. So I think we need to be ready for anything.
Yeah, Ashley, I think it sort of has flown under the radar. We've certainly talked about it, but that was a serious injury by Jack Conklin. It's only been about a year since it happened. So for him to go out and play against the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons in week 1 at left tackle, which is a fairly unfamiliar position to him, he hasn't played it since college, that is a big ask.
It is, and I don't think you want to risk potentially losing him again for any extended period of time because you're just getting him back essentially. And I do think it's interesting how when we started this week, like how I think we've all felt this tone switch, and I think it is looking more and more like we're going to see James Hudson out there at some point. Now, if they're platooning them, I think that's one thing. If it's only James, that's another thing. But I do think it was interesting that yesterday he did say he feels totally comfortable now playing on either side of the line, and we've only really seen him play a lot of right tackle. The most snaps he's gotten at left tackle in a game were in that Arizona game last year when Jed Wills first got hurt and carted off.
Now, it is Friday, so that means we heard from Myles Garrett, of course, as we do every Friday during the season. And Mary Kay, he sort of downplayed the matchup with Micah Parsons. He said that he hopes Micah Parsons actually does want to go win Defensive Player of the Year. That's a good thing. But what stood out to you about what Myles had to say today?
Well, a couple things. When I did ask him about Micah Parsons, he did slip a little line in there about how we're going to duke it out and see what happens. So I do think that even though he's downplaying it, there's a little bit of, hey, I'm on the field, Micah's on the field, let the best man win. So we'll see how that goes. We know for sure that Micah wants to show that he's the best, so I'm sure Myles does too. And then the other thing is, he talked about the fact that he knows he can be more dominant and disruptive this year because they didn't necessarily scheme it up to get him open last year. See, and what happens? He goes out and he wins NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Anyways, so he believes that he can be better this year. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it seems like they did okay scheming things up, but obviously Myles believes that there was more there. And Ashley, I also don't believe, Myles, that there isn't going to be some form of one-upsmanship when it comes to Micah Parsons. If he goes out and makes 2 plays on a drive, I'm sure Myles is going to want to go out there and answer it when it's his turn on the field.
I think so too. I think this version of Myles, we got a much more demure Myles Garrett today. This was not a Myles that wanted to give those Dallas Cowboys any extra bulletin board material. I think we do tend to get Myles more like this during the season than not, but sometimes he's still good for a few of those gems. So I 100% think that we'll get something like that crossover dribble he did last year against the Bengals. I'm just waiting to see what this year's version of that it's going to be.
Use of demure, isn't that a meme?
I don't know. It is a meme right now. That's not why I said it. I think the word is actually very fitting for Myles, but it is also a meme, so it works very cutesy, very demure. That's the meme.
All right, well, I feel old. Mary Kay, we also heard from Jerry Jeudy today.
First of all, I don't think anybody's ever called Myles Garrett demure. So this is a first. You heard it here first on our video. Yes, we did hear from Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy believes that he can have the same kind of production here that his 2020 classmate, not 2021 classmate, CeeDee Lamb has had in Dallas, which of course has been lights out. He feels very wanted. They have so much confidence in him here. He believes that he is going to rise to the occasion.
And Ashley, we talked to Dustin Hopkins for the first time since he signed his extension. He's very happy to be here in Cleveland.
Yeah, I thought Dustin felt like the same old Dustin to me, right? We did get a chance to ask him about that extension, and he talked about feeling really appreciated by the Browns in that regard, and talked about he was dealing with something minor in camp that popped up right before that first preseason game. That's why we didn't see him kick in those first 2 games, but everything is all good now, he said. So good to hear from Dustin.
Okay, full coverage of everything that happened here on Friday, and of course leading up to that Dallas Cowboys game on Sunday at Huntington Bank Field. It's all at cleveland.com/Browns.